questions are being asked across the nation and right here in Evansville.
Well, one of the main questions is, how does the impeachment process work? Eyewitness News' Raven Ford is here to continue our team coverage with the breakdown. Raven?
Brad and Shelley, when we hear the word impeachment, the big misconception is that the president is going to immediately be removed from office. But there is a process that involves multiple levels of legislation before the removal of the president can actually happen.
I haven't really heard anything about this issue.
Many people like Natalie Cummings aren't afraid to admit they don't know what led to the recent impeachment inquiry against President Trump or how the process of his removal out of the White House works.
I think that it's crazy. I think that I want to know more about it and just why all of a sudden it's a decision to make.
George Stephanopoulos breaks down the process of what could play out over the next few months.
Let's take a step back and look at how this impeachment process could all play out. The Speaker's authorized 6 House committees to investigate President Trump for impeachable offenses. Those committees are gathering evidence, holding hearings. They're going to send their strongest cases to the Judiciary Committee. That committee will have the lead role in drafting possible articles of impeachment and voting on whether to send them to the full House for a final vote. If a majority of the House, which is controlled by Democrats, approve those charges, the president is impeached, which is the equivalent of an indictment. Then the whole process moves to the Senate, which is supposed to hold a trial. Each side chooses lawyers to make their case. Chief Justice John Roberts would preside, and the senators would act as the jury. It would take 2/3 of the Senate, 67 votes, to convict and remove President Trump from office. That would mean at least 20 Republican senators would have to vote to convict, which looks unlikely right now. Only 2 presidents have ever been impeached: Andrew Johnson in 1868, Bill Clinton in 1998. Both survived trial in the Senate and stayed in office. Richard Nixon also faced impeachment, but he resigned in 1974 when it was clear the House would impeach and the Senate was almost certain to convict.
As Democrats continue the push for impeachment, Representative Larry Bucshon says he stands with the president.
I read the transcript of the conversation, didn't say anything wrong. He inquired about the problems that the Ukraine has had with corruption, and before that we give further aid, also want the Europeans to be engaged in the process to help the Ukrainians.
Now, those released transcripts also detail President Trump's request to investigate Joe Biden's son. We'll continue to follow the impeachment process on air and online. Raven Ford, Eyewitness News.